Good afternoon and welcome to NWCR's Removing a Liberal Blindfold for this Wednesday, the 3rd day of February in the year of our Lord 2021. From PJ Media comes this one headlined, The Morning Briefing. Please call 911 if you see Jen Psaki's Last Brain Cell by Stephen Cruiser. This article did the blindfold removing thing that this whole episode is about, so we'll start off by removing the liberal blindfold. Jen Psaki ain't no circle-back girl. While we should not be comfortable with what is happening, there are silver linings that the Democrats hate, and they are there, if we just look. Anyone familiar with the toilet-twirling advocacy cheerleading that masquerades as journalism these days is aware of the reoccurring narratives. One of the most overused BS tales has to do with the Republican presidents and anyone who works for them. The Republican POTUS is invariably portrayed as an utter moron, and the most dedicated members of his administration are knuckle-dragging sycophants who somehow got stuck somewhere further down the evolutionary chain. We've seen this with Reagan, we've seen this with Bush, we've seen this with Bush, we've seen this with Trump too. Every president that is not a Democrat is considered a moron. And most of the time, they're smarter than the Democrats who actually are in office. The other side to that story is just as politically awful and out of touch with reality. We are to believe that every Democrat elected to the presidency is miraculously sharing in a transcendental mind meld with all of the great minds of human history, and that the members of their administration are granted access to this magical genius stream for as long as they serve at the pleasure of the president. That's all bunk, of course. To be a devoted modern Democrat, one has to completely eschew biology, history, mathematics, intellectual curiosity, and critical thinking, of course. So much for the genius stream. We all know that the current president isn't playing with a full deck. In fact, if old Gropes has a deck at all, it's from a game of Candyland, and he needs at least 2 Secret Service agents to keep explaining the rules to him. Well, it turns out that the best kind of spokesperson for a guy like that one is one who isn't using a lot of brain power. New White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki is another mediocrity from the Obama administration who is being recycled by Team Biden. Remember, the light bringer shone most brightly when he deliberately surrounded himself with dim people. And Jen Psaki may be the dimmest. In her first couple of weeks on the job, Psaki has distinguished herself by not being able to answer many questions at all, repeatedly telling reporters that she will circle back to them. Thus far, it doesn't seem as if much, if any, circling back has yet happened. A story yesterday about Little Miss Ditz-a-lot not being able to handle a simple question about the Space Force. On Tuesday, when asked about the Space Force, Psaki was clearly clueless about how to respond, resorting instead to mocking the newest branch of the U.S. military. It was a simple question about whether she knew if Biden plans to keep the Space Force, and if he does, whether it will remain at the same size and scope. Psaki simply laughed at the topic before conceding she had no idea what to tell him and didn't even know who she should talk to about it. Quote, "Wow, Space Force, it's the plane of today," she mocked. "It's an interesting question. I'm happy to check with our Space Force point of contact. I'm not sure who that is. I will find out and see if we have any update on that." Unquote. She is a paste eater, folks. That's what makes Psaki's giggling schoolgirl flailing even more pathetic, is that she's been asking the brave journalists to feed her the tough questions in advance, which our own vodka pundit fittingly chronicled in his Tuesday Insanity Rap. Here is Stephen's summary of the story, specifically about the reporter feigning outrage at the administration. Insanity Rap just has to laugh at the lack of self-awareness by all players involved here, from the asterisk White House all the way down to Tanny himself. In fact, the lack of self-awareness is so complete, everybody has their part to play in the kabuki theater of White House press briefings. And if the press fails to play its part by presenting a fair number of gotcha questions, even to a friendly administration, then they lose ratings. And they can't have that. So while the Biden administration seems to be hoping for a complete supine press, even the White House press corps is going to push back on that. As longtime Insanity Rap readers know, there is little we enjoy more than some blue-on-blue action. I'm sure that Jenny from the block will one day have to answer a question. Something about what color shoes her boss is wearing that day, or who her favorite Beatle was. If they give her enough time to answer, she may not glitch and just repeat "circle back" over and over and over again like a short-circuiting Stepford wife. Watching this unholy alliance between the Biden Democrats and his water carriers in the mainstream media is going to be very uncomfortable for however long they keep Scranton Joe propped up in the job. There just might be some entertainment value in watching Jen Psaki trying to outdo her boss in the on-camera embarrassment department. I'm always looking for silver linings here. And because of that, I will always say we will not be ruled. We have to fight for our nation, folks, and watch with eyes that see it all, because the Democrats are working hard to destroy this nation, and it is an agenda that, if you all had been listening and watching before the election, Biden would not have gotten enough votes to try to even cheat his way into the White House, let alone have anyone believe he did. This nation is in a heap of trouble now, and if we don't start fighting back against the leftist tyranny, this country will totally cease to be a free nation where Americans can do what they want. Thank you again for continuing to listen to us here at NWCR, heard through Conservative Nation Media, from behind the silver microphone of freedom with the voice of reason in this increasingly unreasonable world where America always wins. Please pray for America, folks, because the Democrats have sided with the devil and with stupidity, and they are going to be the undoing of this nation until we call on God to help us. We need to start electing people who revere God, the Constitution, and our laws, and even some who have a modicum of common sense would be helpful, something that is sorely missing in Washington, D.C. these days, and we will continue to be here to give you the truth that the lamestream lying media will not. See you again tomorrow on my daily update through New Mexico's Freedom Studio, brought to you by CNM. Have a great day, and God bless you all.